the recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment.
What's happening, everyone? The Job Guys back with you one more time. Nick over there, Ryan right over here. And Nick, for this one, we are going back to the genesis of the Job Guys. It is WrestleMania season, and it is NCAA Tournament season. The very first show we ever did was the NCAA type tournament bracket of the worst WrestleMania matches of all time. That's how we got started. Today, we're going to kind of do the opposite. It is Final Four season, so we are once again going NCAA tournament style. This time, it's just you and me, though. The greatest main events of all time. You and I kind of ranked ours a little bit. I went online, looked at a bunch more. We came up with some seeds. We put together a 38-team bracket, and you and I are going to go back and forth. And we're going to whittle this thing down until we have the greatest WrestleMania main event of all time. It should be known. You and I, we have some similar, usually we're like wrestling twins. We have some differences in ours. So this is not going to be dead on. And that's why I kind of went into looking online on the What Cultures, even WWE, on all these, and took their rankings and kind of tried to even them up a little bit. And we're just going to go back and forth. We're going to pick whoever we think that matchup is. We do get one veto apiece. If there's one that I pick that you are just like, nah, man, I'm saving WrestleMania 5. I got to save it, brother. You can veto it until we get to the Final Four. Those are the rules. Those are the only rules. Until we get to the Final Four, vetoes are gone.
And Ryan, it should be noted, you have not seen my bracket. I have not seen your bracket.
No. We have an idea, but
we do, of course. And we are going to be judging more too, though. There's a lot more in this than just the guy wrestled and did flips for 45 minutes.
Yes.
This is the era is going to be brought in. The work of the match, the angle, the story, the feud.
But yes, this is not just work rate. What's the best worked main event of all time? I think probably we could narrow it down to one if we were going to do that. And that is not. It's taking everything. The competitors, how big they are, pop culture-wise, how big they are in wrestling. Obviously, the work, the story, everything goes into this all together. And it is subjective because we might think somebody is more important than somebody else. But, you know, in the NCAA tournament, they have the play-in games. They got the 4 of those. Well, we have 6 play-in games. But before we get to the play-in games, your number 1 seeds. Let's get to the number 1 seeds, Nick. It's probably going to be to nobody's surprise. Maybe it will be, but here they are, right here. Your number 1 seeds. Rock, Stone Cold, WrestleMania 17, their second match. That is a number 1 seed. WrestleMania 3, Hogan, Andre. WrestleMania 26, HBK Taker 2. Is a 1 seed, and the other one, WrestleMania 30, Triple Threat, Mania, Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, Batista. Those are your 1 seeds. We will get to the rest of them, but let's jump right in. Let's start doing this. But let's go with our playing game. Hogan, Sid, WrestleMania 8, going up against Randy Orton, Triple H, WrestleMania 25. I don't think WrestleMania 8 is nearly as bad as everybody else does.
I don't either.
I don't think
it could have been better.
Great. I find it, let me say this real quick, Nick. I find it hilarious how everybody they screwed up everything. Papa Shango came down late. You didn't know that.
Nobody
You didn't know he came in late. You didn't know that Sid wasn't supposed to kick out of the leg drop. You didn't know that.
I
didn't
think
know until years later.
And I think it worked the other day.
You didn't know it sucked. Yeah,
Little
you didn't know.
Horks thought he kicked out of the leg drop. That was a huge push for Sid. Ended up being big for Sid.
Here's what I do know. I do know that Randy Orton was red hot. Randy Orton was as hot as anybody had been in maybe close to 10 years at that point. Everybody was looking forward to this match until they started to build, and it was kind of weird where they're breaking into each other's houses and all this crap. It was stupid. And then the match couldn't have been more boring. I'm blowing the upset right away. WrestleMania 8, Hogan Sid is moving into the tournament. It's in the play-in, dude. And our next play-in game is Hulk, Sarge, WrestleMania 7, against the one we were also at.
We were there.
The Undertaker retirement, or maybe not, against Roman Reigns.
When we were there, Ryan, I did not realize that match was going to get crapped on as much as it did, because I think when you're there, botches and miss things don't hit you as much as they do on television, in my opinion. So I did not realize how critical many people were going to be of this match.
Yeah.
I watched it, thought it was okay when we saw it, didn't think it was amazing, lights out. We had a good time. We sat with a good fan. The atmosphere was awesome. Going back and watching it again,
brutal.
It's awful. It's a brutal match, man. I was more invested in, if you have to ask me right now, which one will I go back and watch in the upset, Ryan? I cannot, because I actually had it ranked higher. I'm taking Hogan and Sarge over Roman and The Undertaker.
Our third play-in game will stay in that region. It's between WrestleMania 32, Brock Roman 2, and WrestleMania 13, Sid Undertaker. These two matches both are terrible.
Awful.
I am going to go with 32 just because it 13 was a bad era, is a horrible buy rate. Uncensored beat that buy rate for WrestleMania that month. I mean, it was just a terrible time. That shouldn't have been the main event anyway. Shawn lost his smile, all that junk. I don't need to say much. Okay, This one, WrestleMania 38. Last year's main event, Brock Roman 3. Kind of a stinker. Against WrestleMania 16, which is that four-way, McMahon in every corner. Austin wasn't in there, so you had Triple H and The Rock and Foley and Big Show.
I'm sorry, everybody's going to disagree with me. 38 wins.
Next one, COVID Mania. Drew McIntyre against Brock. Brock is in all these play-in games. I didn't even realize that till right now. The play-in, and it faces WrestleMania 11. Which was Shawn. No, it was not. It was Bam Bam Bigelow in the main event against Lawrence Taylor. Doesn't really matter, I don't think, because it's not going to move on. I think that Bam Bam match is way better.
I agree.
Than it ever should have been. Like, everybody thought it was going to suck, and it wasn't great, but it was like, it was better, and it was. But I will give these guys this. They were fighting in front of nobody. They didn't know what the heck they were doing. They didn't know how they were doing. They just did what they could. And because they did what they could, I'm moving that forward. 36 is beating Bam Bam and Lawrence Taylor.
It's still bad.
Last play-in. And then we have our tournament. WrestleMania 10. Brett Yoko 2 against possibly the greatest WrestleMania of all time. 27. The Miz, John Cena, The Rock, special guest referee.
Not only is this the worst WrestleMania, Ryan, in my opinion, I mean, I think it is the worst of all of them. I think it's the worst main event in the history of WrestleMania. Brett and Yoko at 10 advance over The Miz and John Cena in the worst match in WrestleMania history, in my opinion.
So we have our bracket.
Main event.
We are set with our 32. We are set to go. So let's kick it off. In the Greensboro, North Carolina region. Horseman country.
Horseman country.
And our number one seed in Greensboro. You got to say it like that, bruh. Greensboro is WrestleMania 17. It is Rock Austin 2. Some say the greatest. That's why it's a number one seed. It faces off against Hogan Sid, WrestleMania 8. I believe it's my pick now, right?
Yeah, it is. It's got to be easier one.
Not even going to. We already talked about both of these. I hate the finish of 17.
I do too.
I absolutely hate it. It's terrible, but the rest of the match is good. Obviously, it's better than Hogan Sid. Easy peasy. We don't need to talk about it. 17, moving on.
100% agree. I have not disagreed with any of yours so far. I'm waiting to see if we have one. I know you might have been a little upset at Slaughter Hogan, but I
hate that match.
I know you hate that WrestleMania.
I know WrestleMania is terrible. Okay, so the 4-5 matchup in Greensboro, the 4-5, the 4 seed is, you said it, one of your favorites, the Iron Man match. Brett, Shawn, WrestleMania 12, and it has a tough one against the match that started it all. WrestleMania 1 is a 5 seed in here. maybe underseeded, maybe over. Who knows? It is Hogan and T against Piper and Orndorff.
This one kills me because there's no doubt which is the better match in this one.
Yeah.
It is Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels put on one of my favorites. It takes a minute to get going. I should say more than a couple minutes. Yeah. But I don't know. I think it gets going for like 10, 15, and I love it. And it was the two biggest dudes in that era, but it's a bad era. And on the flip side, you have the number one match that starts it all. This one is so hard because taking some things into consideration for me, Ryan, the participants, you got Hogan and Piper are bigger than Bret and Shawn. I mean, when you're looking at Reagan, how big is wrestling during that time compared? It's way bigger in 85 than it is, and it's not even remotely close. The feud. This is where it gets a little itchy for me. Piper Hogan was a good feud, but you had these other guys thrown into the match. It wasn't one-on-one Hogan Piper, which I think it should have been, would have been great. Bret and Shawn, the feud was good. These two dudes really did. You could feel the dislike. Match definitely worked better with Bret and Shawn. The finish, I thought both were good. I don't have a problem with either finish. The Bret one pissed me off because I was a Bret Hart fan. I don't understand how it didn't end in a draw. Bret retains the title, but and they both were the biggest matches on the card. I have this. I don't know if I'm even going to go with what I have, Ryan. This is so hard for me. These matches are both huge. I think this is the best first round matchup we have.
It's up there.
As far as like the best matches in WrestleMania history, though, if I had to watch it again, Ryan, in the upset, I'm going to go with WrestleMania 12.
Wow. WrestleMania 12. Now, this is a polarizing match because a lot of people don't like this match at all. Some people absolutely hate it. I'm indifferent to it. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's bad. I'm just like,
I'm going to go with it. For all those worker fans out there, this one's for you. All right. There you go.
All right.
Wheeler Yuta guys. There you go.
Jeez. Don't even put Bret and Shawn in that guy's sentence. Okay. So our 3-6 matchup in Greensboro is the 3 WrestleMania 19 Angle Brock. Big match. A lot of people think this is the greatest WrestleMania of all time. People like this thing a lot. It faces the 6 seed, which is Bret Yoko 1. And we did add in the extracurricular activities on this.
Have to. It's part of the match.
So now, we have talked about this before. If you've seen our WrestleMania 9 run back.
If you haven't, check it out.
Yeah, if you haven't, check it out. Ding, I'll put it right here. The little tag. Click on it. I won't spoil it for you. We do not hate this as much as everybody else does. In fact, I think the only reason why I haven't already written 19 down is because of what happens after the match. That said, I'm taking 19. I mean, it's just better. Bret Yoko, as much as I loved Bret, Yoko had been there for like 5 months. And there was just WrestleMania 9's terrible, arguably the worst. The match is fine for what it is, but come on. 19. All right. The 2-7. It is the 2 seed. WrestleMania 31. The heist of the century. Brock against Roman, and Seth Rollins comes down, and it faces WrestleMania 18. Had to follow Hogan Rock. It is Triple H against Chris Jericho fighting over a dead dog or something.
Yeah, I think so. Ryan, I'm not going to waste time on this one. I'm sure some people may get mad. 31's better. That other match.
Nobody's going to get mad about that.
Okay, because it goes on wrong.
In honor of the JYD, brother, let's go to the Superdome. Or should I meant Silverdome? I don't know what region. The Superdome region. WrestleMania 26 is your number 1 seed. That is Shawn Taker, number 2. Streak against career, and it faces WrestleMania 7. And WrestleMania 26 is moving on. And that's it. We're done. Okay, so it faces the 4-5, Nick, and it is another one of your favorites, WrestleMania 4. Very polarizing WrestleMania, takes forever. Some of the matches stink, but we got a great main event. Ted against the Macho Man. That is huge. Main event anywhere in the country, brother, against the 5 seed. WrestleMania 22. John Cena beating Mr. H. What do you got?
Ryan,
That's another tough one.
It did take a long time, but it wasn't 2 days. So, you know, I'm just sorry. I mean, it was 2 VHSs, but it wasn't 2 days.
It was not 2 days at 5 hours apiece.
The Triple H match versus John Cena, it's up there. It's a good match. It's well worked. Every Triple H match is the same. It's the same freaking match as all his other. It's a methodical, slow match where we hear he's the mastermind. We hear he's outworking this guy.
The cerebral assassin.
You knew John Cena was going to win this match. And I would argue John Cena and Triple H. John Cena is huge, but I mean, Macho Man and DiBiase are also huge at that time. Macho Man is enormous. DiBiase, I would argue, is the number 1 heel in the company. And
there's no argument.
Okay. I wouldn't know if people would say Andre, but I think
they're all the same.
Right. They're all together. Yeah. And the match goes off. I love the atmosphere. I love the red carpet. I love how they've got going. Macho Man, it's a story. As much as the guy who likes telling stories, Triple H, Macho Man is outmatched in this match. Hogan comes down. It's a great finish. The crowd goes home happy. Macho Man, Ted DiBiase in the main event with Hogan coming in for the save at the end over John Cena, Triple H.
Intriguing matchup right here. A pair of triple threat matches in the 3-6, beginning with the 3 seed. WrestleMania 37. Roman Reigns against Edge and Daniel Bryan. Not much juice going into this match because Bryan had kind of been forgotten about, and then all of a sudden he's back and he's in the main event. It's up against WrestleMania 35, the ladies main eventing for the first time at 1 a.m. the next day. It is Ronda and Becky and Charlotte Flair. I don't think this match is terrible by any stretch. The build to this match was awful. Nobody wanted Charlotte in there except Vince.
I remember that, yeah.
We still don't know if the end was botched or not. I don't think it was. I think that was giving Ronda an out for an eventual match against Becky down the road, which we've never gotten. Everything about 37 is better. Everything about 37 is better. That match is really good. For as much as I didn't care going in, the match is really good. So there you go. 37. Our last match in the first round from the Superdome region. Don't think this is going to be much of a showdown. The 2 seed is WrestleMania 6. Hogan, Warrior, title for title. Taking on that extravagant WrestleMania 32 match, which we talked about in the play-in game. That is Roman against Mr. H. Nick, need we say anything?
6. 6.
Hey, easy, Satan. Calm down. Calm down over there.
Lock the cockpit doors and crash the plane if 32 is on. Like, yeah, it's just 6 is so much better, right?
Hogan.
Hogan!
To the MSG, New York City region. WrestleMania 3, number 1 seed, taking on the play-in game, which was last year's Mania, the Brock against Roman, number 3, and 2 matches with 2 superpowers, the biggest people in their eras. Kind of intriguing there, but that match was such a letdown, and it was the 3rd time now that we've seen it at Mania.
Just alone. At Mania. We've seen this like 10 times.
Hogan, Andre all day. The 4-5 matchup. WrestleMania 24. That is Edge against The Undertaker in your hometown of Orlando, Florida. Up against WrestleMania 2, what the world has come to. King Kong Bundy, Hogan in a cage.
And you know I love 2. I am so into 2. I love the whole 3 different places. I love the Battle Royal. I love the Bulldogs. I love Hogan Bundy in a cage. Is it freaking Savage Steamboat? No, but we knew what we were getting. Bundy was probably the biggest guy they could put in there versus him. Made it a cage. I think the match is not as a stinker as everybody else makes it out.
I don't think it's as bad as everybody makes it out to be.
However, Edge Undertaker. It's a better match.
Okay, so in the MSG standings here, the bracket, we got the 3-6 matchup. The 3 seed is WrestleMania 14. The Austin era has begun with the win over Shawn Michaels. Michaels fighting through a back injury. You could see he's injured during the match. I think that made the match better because it was widely known that he had a bad back. Everybody knew he was going away and all that, and the guy could barely move. I think that made it better. Some people don't. I don't get that. I think that makes it even better. He toughed it out.
I like both.
WrestleMania 34 is the 6th seed here. I was also in attendance at this. This match is not as bad as everybody thinks it is, but the crowd turns on it, and there's beach balls going all over the place. And we were just sitting there laughing because people I wanted to watch the match, but you started watching everything around you because they're like, oh, that guy's got a beach ball and these guys are cheering for this. And that. Like the crowd, they just did not want to see Roman.
Dumped on it.
The angle was so they flipped the two. Like everybody turned on Brock too, because remember they were doing the thing where he doesn't want to be here and he's a part-timer. Right. So everybody turned on him too. So yeah, it was it was not good. Even though the match is pretty good, it just falls flat. And I do think the other one's better, and I think it's more obviously significant in importance. 14, Austin, Michaels, 34. Moving on. Last one in our MSG bracket. It is maybe the most interesting thing we have
how
here.
This one fell.
And it's the way it fell. We didn't set this up. It literally fell like this with the rankings that we had. The 2 seed is WrestleMania 28, Rock against Cena. The 7 seed is WrestleMania 29, twice in a lifetime. Rock against Cena. What say you, Mr. Hortz?
28 wins. The first one is a better match. I think the wrong guy won at first. I just didn't see the point in The Rock defeating Cena, even if you handed the Cena the one back the next year. So what, they're now equal? The Rock's still leaving. We still got years of Cena.
He won the first one.
The first one, I think, is a better worked match. But yeah, I think it's just because of that. And then the second one, you knew, like, this guy can't beat Cena twice, and he's leaving. He's got the belt. He has to lose. Right. That's kind of what ruined it for me on the second one. If you not really ruined it, they're both decent matches. I think the first one's just better.
There you go. 28. Moving on. Our last one. In honor of this year's WrestleMania in Los Angeles, California, we're going with the Venice Beach region, brother. 1 seed, WrestleMania 30. Bryan, Batista, Orton, taking on WrestleMania 36, which is COVID Mania. Drew, Brock. This is a one word. Yeah, it's 30. 30's moving on. No explanation necessary there in the 1-8 match.
Nope.
The 4 seed from Detroit. It is John Cena against Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 23. It faces off against Russo Mania, Rock Austin 1 from WrestleMania 15. That is an interesting 4-5 matchup.
It wasn't as hard for me. I'm sorry, folks. I do not like the first Rock Austin match. I think it's a train wreck. I think it becomes a circus. Yeah, it becomes the Vince McMahon show. The Rock wasn't, in my opinion, The Rock was not ready to main event WrestleMania. He was not ready for it. Seemed like they didn't have anybody else to get the title on to give it to Austin, so we're giving it to The Rock. The Michaels Cena match, I cut it slack too, because I don't even think that's what we were supposed to get that year, Ryan. I think we were supposed to get Cena Triple H. And of course, you can't ask for anybody better than for Michaels to come in and sub for somebody, because you know the guy's going to put on a match. Got off to a slow start. Match is still a very good match. John Cena wins. It's a good finish. Cena Michaels advances forward.
The 3-6 is WrestleMania 20. Triple threat match between, as you mentioned, HBK, Triple H, and Chris Benoit. Benoit wins the title, hugs his buddy afterward, where it all was supposed to begin again against WrestleMania 21. The very next year, they had to reset everything because it was supposed to begin again that year, but then it didn't work so well. Now we have to go with Cena and Batista. The main event was Triple H against Batista in 21. Pretty good match. I don't like that feud as much. Unfortunately, this WrestleMania 20 match is really good. Some may say it's underseeded at a 3 seed. So you're looking at a top 12 Mania match of all time. Some may have it into the top 5 even. So there's really good action in that. It's the very first triple threat main event we ever had at WrestleMania. Pretty good match. I don't think this is all that close. I'm moving 20. Moving that on. Venice Beach, California. It's the 2 against the 7. WrestleMania 5. Hogan, Macho Man. Maybe the greatest story they ever have told. It's getting pushed a little here by the bloodline lately, but maybe the greatest story they ever told. And it takes on 10, Bret Yoko number 2.
5, Ryan. I don't think we need to talk about this one. 5. I'm sorry. If someone sees 10 over 5, I don't know how to help you.
We are down to the Sweet 16. So let's head back to Greensboro, North Carolina. Woo! The 1 seed, Austin Rock 2, taking on the Iron Man match, WrestleMania 12. I don't think this is close either. Again, as bad as I think the finish is, the era, the 2 biggest guys at the time, 2001, they're back in a dome. These 2 sold out a dome. It is Rock Austin 2 all day over the Iron Man match, which again, I'm a huge Bret guy, and I used to like Shawn. By this time, I was sick of Shawn, and I just don't. The match is just too long. It's not bad. I'm just indifferent to it. Your vote to move on to the Elite 8 in Greensboro. It is WrestleMania 19, taking on 31, the heist of the century. Became a triple threat after Seth cashes in at WrestleMania 31, taking on Brock and Kurt Angle. I think we have our first. This is a toughie. This is a real toughie right here.
It's because it messed up my bracket. So I got 31, the heist of the century versus what, Ryan, again?
19. Brock falling on his head to finish the match.
This one is so hard for me because they're 2 polar opposites where the ending is the greatest thing in one of the matches. And then the other match, the ending is the worst part of the match.
Right.
And Ryan,
the winner has to get wheeled out of there. For real. Because he's like,
I'm going to have to go with the heist of the century, Ryan, because the ending saves that match, whereas the other match, it ruins it. I'm sorry, folks out there. I am an ending dude. That's why I love 4. I like the ending, man. It's got to end well. It can't end with these guys.
All right. Thank you, happy ending Horts. Let's move on
I like happy endings. There you go.
Now let's go on to the Superdome, brother. HBK, Taker 2, taking on Macho and Ted from WrestleMania 4. I am going with 26. It's just a better match.
I did too.
And a lot of people, I love the match. I think 26 is better than 25. I'm one of the few on earth that think that. I think it is a better match. That other match, Taker nearly kills himself at one point in the match, and then they're just kicking out of each other's finishes constantly. And this match is what's responsible with what's wrong with wrestling today, because now somebody hits somebody with like a inverted atomic drop, and they kick out on 2, and they go every single time, no matter what it is. Every Wednesday, they're doing that no matter what, because they're trying to recreate WrestleMania 25, which was nothing but kicking out of finishers, laying there for 5 minutes, getting back up, kick out another finish, lay there for 5 minutes. I think it's good. Yeah. I think this is a better match. And by the way, main event, if we should have said it at the top, if you haven't figured this out yet, last match is main event.
Right.
The last match. And we are not counting the last couple of years where there's been 2 and 3 2 nights. Sunday night is it. I should have said that at the top. Sorry if I didn't. If you're going, where's Bianca and the last night? That is it. All right, that brings me to you got this one. WrestleMania 6. Hogan, Warrior, the 2 seed, taking on the 3 seed, WrestleMania 37, Roman, Edge, Bryan.
Roman is close to me. We need to have a discussion about Roman and where he rates one day. And this match really can be credited with a lot of catapulting him up. These are two Hall of Fame world champions, dudes who have main evented WrestleMania, dudes that are in our tournament. With that being said, Hogan Warrior is still a bigger match. I did not know who was going to win. I was physically torn as a kid. If there was a place you could put people for psychological breakdowns over wrestling, this match ripped little Hortz apart, man. And at the end, I know you're not proud to hear me say it, I was cheering the Warrior toward the end of this match. I know I just wanted to see it. The new I saw Hogan. I wanted to see it.
Have you ever told me that before?
I think so, and I don't think I did. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to break. I'm gonna have to break up with you. I think
so. Job opening on the job,
guys.
It's
it's not me. It's you.
Yeah. In case I'm not here next show, thanks. It's been fun, folks. But yeah, I'm sorry, Hogan Warrior. This match is huge, Ryan. It was big. I'm sorry if you weren't there and you do not understand how big the Ultimate Warrior. Right. I know it was a short run. This dude was huge. Hogan was still huge. It was title versus title. We had never seen this. It may be the only time face versus face. 25 minutes of magic, man. Hogan
25 minutes between those two. If anybody on earth would ever say, yeah, they're going to go 25, they're like, you'd be lucky if you get 5 out of them.
And it worked for 25.
Universally praised. It worked. Let's go back to Madison Square Garden. The 1 seed, Hogan, Andre. Not a great worked match, but it was massive. Takes on 24, Edge, Undertaker. I got to admit, I have not watched this match, I don't think, since it aired live. I don't think I'd seen it since it, maybe once. I may have ran it back right after.
Good match.
But it's been since then. I don't think it's that great. I got to be honest. I don't think it sucks, but
it's a good
when
match.
I hear great match,
how's the Taker in it?
Good match. It's a good match. 3 stars, maybe. I don't think it's anything great. Hogan Andre, worked wise, stinks, but
terrible.
It is so good. The build, obviously, the two guys. They talk about Andre hasn't lost in 15 years. We know Hogan's had the belt for 3 years. That you want to talk about in a dome, first time ever in a dome, and it's sold out. No matter what you think the number is, 78 or 93. Go down to Dallas and see how many tickets they sold down there. Go to Minneapolis and when they were in the Metrodome. See how many tickets they sold there. Go to Comiskey Park when AWA went there. Let's see how many they sold. They sold at least 80,000 tickets to this thing, no matter what you think the number is. It was so big. The beginning where Hogan falls down when he goes for the slam. 1, 2. Did he get him? Did he get him? All of that, man. Just everything about that. And I don't think it sucks. But I don't think that Edge Taker match is like great. Keep it right there. It is the 3 seed. Michaels, Austin. This is a tough one right here. The beginning of an era taking on the number 1 pay-per-view of all time. That is a tough one.
It was, man. Like, geez, Austin skyrockets. This is really his moment, isn't it? It's a great
The Austin era has
and you're begun. Right. Michael's working through that. It even looked like he was selling it, even though it was hurting. I don't know that it's as big as Cena versus The Rock. Right now, I don't see anybody on the planet who you could put in the ring that could do a Cena Rock. The Cena Rock moves on.
We have quite the Elite 8 in the MSG. There is a reason why we put this in the Mecca. It is Hogan, Andre against Rock, Cena. I don't know who needs to pick that one yet, whether it's going to be you or me, but we got a few more still to get there. Sweet 16, Venice Beach, California. This one is mine. It is WrestleMania 30 against HBK and Cena. I was at Ford Field in Detroit. And I got to admit, I was bored, brother. The first half of this match is slow to me. I was not invested in this because I knew it was supposed to be Triple H. I knew Michaels was not going to win the belt here. I like Cena. I'm a huge Cena fan. But I just was, Now, the last 10 minutes of this match are really, really good. They're really good.
I like the match.
just a hair too long. It could have been like 10 minutes shorter. I think WrestleMania 30 is awesome. That is a top 4 Mount Rushmore WrestleMania to me. I think this main event is awesome. And that moves on. I think this match is incredible. I think it probably is the best triple threat main event there's ever been, and I don't think it's close. And I don't think it's even in the same stratosphere. Last one in the Sweet 16. It is the other triple threat match, WrestleMania 20. Benoit, Michaels, Triple H against WrestleMania 5. You have a tough one right here. You're getting some tough ones, dude.
Well,
Macho Hogan.
This is one I was so happy to go back and watch this on that 20. And I'm glad it followed this one too, because this is what I think is the greatest triple threat match. I think this match is freaking phenomenal. And I didn't feel that way back then, but I went back and watched it. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. There's no one out of place. There's no one standing around. There's no one waiting. It is such a good worked match. My only problem is Benoit wins. It's not. And again, I know he was
not today, Benoit. Back then, we thought that too.
I'm sorry. I'm not a big fan of him carrying the company. I'm not smiling when this Mania goes off. I'm like,
$1 million worker, 10-cent charisma.
It's like 2 little guys have the belts. I'm going, oh, Jesus. For me, that's hard. I'm sorry, folks. That's hard. But it is. This match, I think, I might even rank it as one of the best worked matches in WrestleMania history. But it can't beat Hogan Savage, man. Hogan Savage, the story, man. You can go back every pay-per-view after WrestleMania 4, every event that they're on. There is something. I mean, even the look at SummerSlam is so unbelievable to me. The way they build this up, and then the explosion. I was almost crying after the main event, Ryan. And I was like my dad, like, they can't break up. They can't. Like, this cannot happen. And my dad had to soothe me. And he said, I don't know what he called it. He's like, yeah, it's just one of those things. He gave it a name, and I think he made it up. He's like, the fans aren't really going to like this one. And he called it like it's a really letdown for the fans. And I'm like, yeah, it is, Dad. Like, damn, these guys were my 2 dudes. Like, they shook on it, Ryan, and it was legit. Yeah, it was. Come on,
brother.
I just think it's the greatest story ever told, Ryan. The match delivered. The 2 guys, the 2 biggest guys in the industry. If Hogan's the biggest, in my opinion, Savage has to be top 5, top 6 on 7 on people's charts. He's got to be up there. He is that big. 5 moves on for me over 20.
We have our Elite 8. It is 17, 31, 26, 6, 3, 28, 30, and 5. Here we go. Let's do this Elite 8. Starting in Greensboro. Only one can move on to the Final 4.
Only Highlander.
WrestleMania 17 against WrestleMania 31. 17 rubs me completely the wrong way because of the last 5 minutes. It completely rubs me the wrong way.
They dropped it on the internet.
We knew it went in.
And you're like, they're not going to still go through with it.
31, no one on earth saw this coming.
No
one.
Get crucified on the internet.
The heist of the century was not WrestleMania 31. The heist of the century was WrestleMania 31 moving on to the Final 4. WrestleMania 31 is eliminating Rock Austin 2. It's better. I'm sorry. And once again, we always talk about the finish, leaving that bad taste in your mouth at the end. That is the ultimate, that is the poster child for leaving a bad taste on your mouth.
It is.
You have an amazing match. Then you force-fed an Austin heel turn, and not even force-fed a heel turn with McMahon in his hometown over The Rock. Who wanted to see that? The fans then, they knew here that people did not want to see Roman. So they called an audible at the last minute, pissed off the entire Anoa'i family, by the way, in the back, and they cash in the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania. in what was a good match anyway, it's got to be 31 for me. By the way, this is our last chance to use vetoes. We cannot use them in the Final Four.
For life.
Your pick from the Superdome, Louisiana region, the top seed, Taker, Shawn 2, against the Ultimate Challenge, WrestleMania 6, title for title, Hogan, Warrior.
I know people are gonna be like, a freaking dinosaur. 6 wins. I'm sorry. The two, when I look at my things down here, my rankings, how big or over are the participants? Okay, we can argue they're all over. Who's bigger? Michaels and the Taker, or Hogan and Warrior in their primes? Who's bigger? I think Hogan and Warrior drew better than Michaels Taker. If they go up against
Michaels, was not a great draw.
And
no matter what anybody wants to say,
how big is wrestling during that time? I would argue 90 is bigger. Wrestling is more over. The feud are good on both, but we've seen the Taker Michaels one before. We had not seen Hogan Warrior. We had not seen a challenge to Hogan like this since Andre. This was the first time, and the Warrior had a jetpack on him. He was going to the moon. How well's the match work? The other one might be worked better because they are better in ring guys than Hogan Warrior, but Hogan Warrior did not disappoint. It is a very well worked match. The finish is great on that one. I'm a little off on the Michaels coming up and going.
That is the only bad part of that.
You know, like, and it looks so cheesy.
I agree with that.
The Warrior Hogan match is a bigger match. Shawn Michaels and Taker are not Hogan Warrior. They're not, in my opinion. I'm putting 6 over 26.
So I was about to veto you, and then you made the best point.
It's cheesy.
I hated that when it happened.
I hated watching
I wish he'd just do it. That's one of those Vince drag it out things. And you went about a hair, you dragged a little too long. Yeah, I'm not a fan of whatsoever.
I would ask, can you nitpick something out of Hogan Warrior in that match?
Too many feats of strength.
Okay,
they did it too many. It
was that, but again, those guys are stifled for what they can do.
Well, and that's what they were. They were power guys, but I thought they probably did. They didn't need to do 16 crisscrosses, and they didn't need to do the whole, whatever the hand, wrist, feet of strength thing that is a meme all over nowadays. You want to talk about feats of strength? You got
good luck
Hogan Andre against Rock Cena 1. This is almost the same match on paper, the two biggest dudes in the industry, the two unbeatable guys, the two guys that defined their era. Both of these matches are that. Rock Cena kind of brought life back. They came back from WrestleMania 27, which was awful, which he was involved in, but I think the business was kind of in a lull there for a little bit. Not great. Cena then feuds with The Rock. Business picks back up. What's the moment of the Cena Rock match? What's the moment? Is it Cena sitting out on the ramp afterwards?
That's it. Cena, I should have won. I don't know how I lost. That's what I remember. I remember Hogan slamming Andre.
Hogan slamming Andre is the very first picture they show every single WrestleMania on the open to every single WrestleMania. Ryan, it's either the face-to-face or Hogan turning him and throwing him down.
It's on every box cover. Anytime they put out a box set of WrestleMania back in the day, what was on the box? Man, I have it in my room.
People talk about loud pops. They never talk about that for some reason, maybe because they hate Hogan. Dude, the place goes insane when Hogan slams Andre.
The cartoon.
The bigness of that match is so big, it outweighs how bad it was worked. Okay, one last one, and we are down to the final 4. Venice Beach District, the 1 seed, still alive. WrestleMania 30. Brian, Orton, Batista, the 2 seed, Hogan, Macho, the best story ever told. Mega Powers explode, brother.
Oh, man. All right. I'm going to spend this time talking to you because I know. Because, okay. Here's what I watched.
How you doing, buddy?
How you doing? Okay.
Hey, man.
It's over. Okay. 30 is really good. Here's my problem with 30. Number one, Daniel Bryan is so pushed up against the wall, it's almost over the top to me. Your main event should not need hoopla. It should not need a circus. It shouldn't need a McMahon in every corner. You know, it's your main event, dude. Those 2 dudes should sell it. 5 is just, to me, I'm sorry. It's the Zenith, man. 3 and 5, that era, the match is amazing to me. I think it's Hogan's probably his best match versus the Macho Man. And that's not saying, it's not that out there, because I think a lot of people's best matches are with the Macho Man.
Yeah.
He is.
It's a better match than the Warrior match.
It is.
The Warrior match is great for different reasons, but this is.
Savage probably could wrestle your grandma and get 5 stars out of it. You know, I mean, he was that good. And for
my grandma is Mae Young. Did you know that?
Yeah.
See that?
I don't know if we want to talk about May, but I just love that era. It was huge to me.
So everything you said is true, but despite all of that, you still had 75,000 people for like 3 straight hours, and for like 9 straight months. They kept screwing him and kept screwing him and kept screwing him. And the argument with the Triple H thing, which I do understand, that was the angle. The angle wasn't with Batista. It wasn't with Orton. It was with Triple H. Even you can say that because we always rip on the McMahons. Well, it's the McMahon. Yeah, but it isn't Shane, and it isn't Stephanie, and it isn't Linda, and she
was out there.
Well, they were the authority.
Yeah. There it is. Yeah.
So the angle was, and these 2 guys were the stooges to knock this freaking guy out. The match is 1,000 times better. You had football stadiums, basketball arenas all over the country doing that. It did catch on. I don't know how it caught on, but it caught on. And I think it's the best WrestleMania of the last 21 at least years. If you think 17 is the best ever,
I don't.
30, if you do,
Oh God,
I think most of the 30 suck. I think 30 and 31 are very good. I think 30 is by far the best since at least 17. And the whole thing was about this guy.
It was.
And you're right. You knew he was going to win, and everyone was there for the coronation. I got to use my veto on the very last one. I figured you would. On the very last one. I got to. For life. Our final 4.
R.I.P.
WrestleMania 31. Roman Brock with the heist of the century. It upsets Austin and freaking Rock too.
A lot of people quit watching.
WrestleMania 6, Hogan Warrior beats Taker Michaels 2. Hogan Andre is in. It beats Rock Cena, and it is WrestleMania beating the Mega Powers Explode. It is my pick to move on to the championship. Man, this is freaking tough. This is tough. I didn't think this would come to this. I didn't know it.
31 has to be the biggest shock to me out of this 4 that it's here. And when you look, and you know, maybe we redraw the bracket, maybe we make different Final Fours.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This, you know, it's a different game depending on how you do this.
Yeah, different matchups.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't think this would be it. I didn't know if 6 would be there. I definitely didn't know that 31 would be there, and I picked it there.
You know what'll ruin 31 is if they do this anytime again within the next couple of years. You have to not do this at WrestleMania for a while. That 31 needs to be left alone.
They need to get rid of Money in the Bank. Is the first thing they need to do. They both have shocking finishes. I gotta go 31.
Over
I gotta.
6. Wow.
I gotta.
31 to you is the second greatest WrestleMania main event match.
Well, according to these 4. according to these 4 that we have. I got to. I watched it again. I watched it last week and I watched it again last night. The match is better than I think people remember before Seth comes out. I think the match is really good. I think it's their best of their 3.
Doesn't he just get destroyed?
No, well, he does, but then he's laughing at him the whole time. Roman's laughing at him. Pronouns, pal. Yeah. He's like taking spears and he's kicking out and he's rolling over and he's all happy about it. But then he hits some spears. There's some close calls and things for him too. Yeah, I thought it was a good match. I really did. And then that happens and nobody saw that coming.
No, I did not see it coming.
I got to do it. And you just said it. Not to belabor the point, but you just said it. You leave that alone. Let's not do that again. I think this was a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
I hope they don't do it again.
This because it will. Well, the feeling, the pop, the weight. Like, it wasn't even a pop at first. His music hit, and they were like, what? Are you kidding? In the main event of WrestleMania?
Yeah.
And I think you'll never be able to recreate that. I don't think you ever. In the finish is sweet. He's got him in the F5, and then he spears him out of the F5. He drops him, curb stomps, 1, 2, 3. You can never recreate that. I had that ranked 5th overall on my.
Wow, really?
Yeah. If you're going 1 through, seed them all, that is my number 5 overall. But the way this bracket worked out, it's in the final 2. So now on the other side, we've got Hulkamania, the 2-1 seeds, Hogan, Andre against Daniel Bryan, WrestleMania 30. And we just move right along. Put the 3.
Yeah. Yes, Hogan Andre. I mean, for anybody that cares out of mine, and this is, again, I know I keep calling myself the dinosaur. My top 4, and I'm not going to say a certain order because I don't want to give anything away going in, but I had Rock and Cena 1 up there. I had Hulk Hogan Warrior, Hulk Hogan Macho Man, Hulk Hogan Andre the Giant. I got to go 3, man. It's huge.
The final of this bracket is WrestleMania 3, Hogan Andre against the heist of the century.
Old school versus new. And I think this is kind of a great finish in the fact that it is today's wrestling versus yesterday's wrestling. It's these kick out of the finishers, these high spot move matches with these monster dudes.
Surprises. And
a surprise Money in the Bank cash in versus this old school where the characters are larger than life. The story is larger than life, but there's not a lot of emphasis on the match, right?
Yeah. Their size is larger than life.
Yeah. So I really do think this is not only a battle for the championship, it's a battle of generations. I would say 4, the biggest guys of those eras, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who has main evented more WrestleManias in the past few years than Brock and Roman?
Now, we did have somebody on standby in case we need a tiebreaker.
We do. Okay. Who is that?
Yeah, there is someone on, but I don't know that we're going to need him.
His name's Terry Bollea.
Yeah, you may know him as Terry the Hulk Boulder or Sterling Golden. Thunderlips in the flesh, baby.
Baby.
It's WrestleMania 3, hands down.
It's 3.
Hands down. I don't care how bad this match was, and there was some bad parts. The whole I'm going to pile drive him on this wood outside of the thing, and then he gets backdropped at -6 miles per hour and just sets him down on like that's not good. But the magnitude of that match, the size of that match, it's untouchable. It's untouchable, and it still hasn't. And people, Rock and Austin were the 2 biggest stars. Yeah, that's very true.
It is.
It wasn't this.
And Ryan, I would say going into this, I remember I was not worried. When Hogan ripped his shirt off, I was shocked. I'm sorry, when Andre ripped the shirt off, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. And, I was like a little, but I'm thinking, this dude's beat Bundy. This dude's beat Stud. He's beat Kamala. He's beat Piper. He's beat Orndorff. He's beat Terry Funk. He can beat Andre. And then the main event happened. and Little Hortz was terrified. When he threw Hogan out of that, nobody throws the Hulk and that, Ryan, right there.
Like,
and not only that,
nothing.
Jesse on top. When I watched that, I was legit scared, Ryan. I was like, maybe Hogan shouldn't take this match.
And
like
he headbutted Leaping Lanny Poffo.
And busted him open.
Blood.
What WrestleMania did they constantly show during COVID 2 or 3 times on regular TV?
That would be WrestleMania 3.
They showed that.
Which one did they put out individually on DVD? The only one of the old ones.
It's on the boxes. If you go, it's on the opening of shows. WrestleMania 3 is WrestleMania.
It is wrestling.
It is. It is. I know Andre did not land to acai, but should
have seen him in Japan, brother.
I know. Different worker in Japan. It was the feeling. Nobody was going in going, man, I hope this match goes 45 minutes. We were just, can he do this? Can the immovable object, what did Gorilla say? The irresistible force
meets the immovable object.
Even that line, like when you think about it,
they play that all the time.
That line is not from that match. Like, that's not the first time anybody's heard that.
Right.
But it is that match now.
Yep.
That line is tied to that match, at least in my eyes. This is the biggest. And taking nothing away, you are right. That other match is shocking. I love getting shocked. That's our favorite. That's my favorite thing, though, right? The Rockers.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite thing, Ryan. And it was a good match with a great ending, but it ain't Hogan Andre. No.
And it's so hard to explain that to people that weren't there. And then they read Meltzer's thing and it got -3 stars and all this. I mean, come on. You just had to be there. You can't just watch it and then go, like you said, I watched Vikingo the other day.
Good for them, right?
It's just not the same, man. And I mean, look at now, even the build with, why is the bloodline a big deal? Yeah, Roman's cool and he looks good and he can wrestle pretty good and he has some good matches and everything. But why is it good? Because of the story they're telling. Because he is undefeated. Oh, wait. Hogan hadn't lost in over 3 years. Andre hadn't lost in 15 years, supposedly. And they were former friends and now they're fighting and all that stuff. That's why that was big. It wasn't because of the work. They didn't sell 93,000 tickets to friggin' watch them do a triple Salchow off the friggin' 3-meter board.
Nobody cared, man. Nobody cared.
That is number one.
It is. And it's, I hope people realize too, this is what I think. I think if me and you can add anything to this, we live through these, all of them.
Yeah.
Every one of these WrestleManias, me and you have lived through. And I'm sorry, it is something to say, when someone says, my relatives of us will start talking about baseball players or basketball or something from the 70s. I wasn't there. I try to stay out of those conversations because I don't know what I'm freaking talking about. It was that big.
This is where we differed too, because I had a lot more new stuff at the top of my bracket than you had. My 1 seeds, I had Rock Austin 2, Brian Orton Batista, HBK Taker 2, Hogan Andre. Then my 5th overall was Brock Roman Seth, Rock Cena 1, Hogan Warrior, Hogan Macho, Brock Angle, 37, 20, 14.
Really quick, Ryan, what were your bottom 5?
The bottom 5 are Cena Miz, Taker Sid,
yep, same
Hogan
here.
Sarge, LT Bam Bam.
I have that too flipped.
And then the 4-way at WrestleMania.
Amazing. 16. I have Bam Bam is below Hogan Sarge, but those are my bottom 5 too.
Yeah, those are the 5 worst.
And it would be cool if anybody's out there, post where did we go wrong? If you think we went wrong somewhere that made the bracket take a huge turn for like post that up, like, oh my God, I can't believe this went out in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I mean, I'm sure you're going to hear it on 17, but
I think people like 31, but 17 seems to be a holy grail, regardless of how it ended. People seem to love that match, and it's a great match up until Vince comes out. But yeah, let us know what you think. What are your 1 seeds? What's your that would be your Mount Rushmore. What are your 4-1 seeds? What's your best ever? Nick, as always, brother. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Job guys out. Have fun in Mania.
Pleasure's all yours, Bucky boys.